Hey there guys, this is Chauncey J. Kent, and welcome to our second episode of Evelution, the series where I play EVE Online, and hopefully you guys enjoy the process of me doing that. So, today, I wanted to kind of dive into some of the mechanics of the game and actually talk about mining, since that's what I know the most about. And we'll kind of start from the beginning stuff and move up to the more advanced stuff where I am, and then I'll just go do a bit of that and see where we end up at the end of the episode. First of all, of course, when you begin the game, you're going to start with a very, very basic starting ship for your faction. In the case of the Caldari, I believe it's the Ibis, and of course there won't be any in the market because no one sells the starter ship because you can get them for free, so it's completely pointless. Seriously, don't sell your starter ship, guys. You won't be helping anyone. But anyway, it's just a real basic frigate. You can mount like I think it's one turret and one mining laser on the Caldari version. I'm not sure about the other factions, but I imagine they'd be about the same, just with a different look. But anyway, once you kind of get your character going, you do a little bit of training, this and that. Of course, I would strongly advise you guys to do the intro tutorials. You'll start at a station, they'll have agents down on the side of the screen. Over here, you click agents, it'll list stuff. Now, the station you start at will have several with different categories, all at level 1, so that you can actually do stuff with them, and they'll give you sometimes ships, sometimes just fittings for your current ship to kind of move you forward and get you used to the different aspects of the game before you kind of get thrown in. Now, of course, if you already know how to play, you can just dive right in and go do what you're going to do, and that's fine. But yeah, if you guys are new to the game, I would strongly suggest doing the intro training through the agents. That's kind of what I did, and it really helped me understand a lot of the different aspects of the game, at least the initial bits, and kind of gave me a place to start for like internet wiki research when I wanted to get a little bit deeper into other bits and pieces of the game. Now, eventually I did go off and just kind of do my own thing because these took you in a certain direction, and you can kind of follow the storyline if you want to do that. It's a career path called missioning, and it's actually a pretty lucrative one and well worth doing, and of course it's the most story driven. So if you're looking for just kind of an entertainment thing, that's definitely a great way to go. Of course, I was really interested in the whole mining aspect because I'm just weird like that. So I kind of just got myself started with all of that and joined a corporation and got set up for the whole mining thing. And of course, long story short, the corporation didn't make it, and now I'm just in a NPC corp, which is perfectly fine for me because I kind of prefer to do things on my own anyway, but you know how it goes. Okay, so anyway, when you're first starting out with the mining thing, of course you want to get yourself bigger and better mining lasers as you go. You'll start with a really, really basic version, and let's see if we can't find them. This is the market, if you guys are unfamiliar with this, and I'll show you how to get to that. Just when you're parked in here, you'll have a little button on the right hand side of the screen with market, so you can click there, or on the left hand side of the screen you also have a smaller button that brings up the market as well. So just a couple of different ways to get there. And the reason they do that is because this isn't available on the right hand side when you're not in a station, but all of these buttons on the left hand side are available whether you're in a ship or a station or anything. So this just kind of helps you keep track and occasionally multitask while you're out and about and doing stuff. Now, honestly, I don't like to use these while I'm out in space, just because if you're sitting in one place and doing one thing, you really should be scanning to make sure no one's sneaking up on you, because that's the best way to not get your ship blown up. But if you guys are feel safe, or you got friends backing you up, or whatever, and you just need something to do, you've got all this stuff over here, so you can check your fittings, look at the market, or do whatever. Okay, so yeah, basically you want to get mining lasers, and those are going to be under ship equipment, and it'll be turrets and bays. So you got hybrid turrets, laser turrets, missile projectiles, all kinds of different stuff. And did they move them? They might have moved them. Interesting. Projectile turrets? Upgrades. Huh. Alright then, well, like I say, guys, I am actually just... Oh, harvest equipment. Wow. I am just getting back into the game after taking... Well, I mean, I've been actively subscribed, so my character's been training, but I haven't been playing a whole lot because I've been working on other things. So they've done a few updates and switched some stuff around, so if I ever have information that is not accurate, I do apologize, and we'll try and fix it as we go. But yeah, harvest equipment is where you'd want to be, and you've got all kinds of different mining things. Got gas cloud harvesters. Gas clouds give you the resources to manufacture boosters, which storyline-wise are they're not strictly speaking illegal, but they're kind of a iffy thing. But it does give you like stat boosts and such, so you know what, game mechanics-wise, I'm good with it. There are ice harvesters, and of course ice is used in a number of different things, but most notably it's used in the faction-specific fuel blocks for POSs and like some of your bigger ships that you kind of have to unpack to use effectively, like the I'm going to butcher the name of this, the Roquool. It's like the big low-sec version of the Orca. It's like a mining foreman ship. So they're in a fleet, and they give boosts to everyone, and they have lots and lots of cargo space. And the difference being the Orca is designed to work more in your higher sec systems. So it still has lots of cargo space, but it doesn't have the compression mechanic, so it actually can't fit as much stuff as the other one can, because it'll bring that in and it'll compress it all down, and that way it can store more. And that's just because there are more stations available in high sec than there are in low sec, so as far as like making trips and stuff, it just makes more sense to go with the Rorqual in low sec space, because you need the compression mechanic, and then the Orca in high sec space because you don't actually necessarily need that compression mechanic, because there are stations relatively nearby that you can drop stuff off at as kind of like a base to operate out of. Alright, of course you've got your mining lasers, which is kind of where we'll sit, so we'll come back to those. We've got the strip miners, which are used on your mining barges, and the Tech 2 version of those, the exhumers. And those are what I use, but they're more of an advanced mining thing, so that's something we'll talk about a lot later. And then there are the salvagers, which anytime you destroy a ship, it will leave a wreck behind. And now sometimes those wrecks will have loot, and you just open them up like any normal container and pull the loot out. But then you can actually use the salvagers to pull more materials off of the wrecks, and those materials are actually used in the construction of rigs, which you can apply to a ship to give special extra bonuses beyond the normal fitting stuff. The one downside of the rigs is that once they're applied, you can't take them off and put them on something else. Basically it's a non-standard equipment modification, so it would be like opening up your car, and like if you have a Ford and you're trying to put a Mustang, or well, that's terrible, obviously you can tell I'm not really a car guy, but essentially it's like trying to fit a Honda engine into a Ford body. It's possible, and the way you do that is going to be very specific to that ship and that situation, so it's not something that you can actually move over to another vehicle without destroying the parts that you use to do it in the process. So that's kind of the idea of the rigs. They're nice, they have some drawbacks, but those can be mitigated through skills, and they're non-transferable. So unfortunately, if you destroy a ship that has rigs on it, those rigs are gone. And if you need to switch out rigs for whatever reason, when you pull off the old rig, it just gets destroyed. There's nothing left over from it. That said, they're still definitely worth it if you need rigs for any reason. Now, of course, there are the mining lasers. Like I said, we are swinging back around to those. Now, if you're just starting out with mining, or if you're going to specialize in ore, the mining lasers are your bread and butter. So let's take a look at those first. Now, you're going to start off with the civilian miner, assuming things are the same as when I started out, which they might not be, but you never really know. Oh, man, excuse me. Had to burp there. Drank some water too fast. Anyway, so the civilian mining laser is just your very basic level thing, and if you ever want information on a particular item, you can pull it up in the market or in your inventory or whatever. There's a little eye next to it. You click that, and it pulls up all the information about that particular item. How much space it's going to take up. Oh, wow. Okay, excuse me. How much energy it's going to cost to start it, how many hit points it has, its tech level, the range on it, etc., etc. So this is going to do 30 cubic meters of ore every cycle, which is in this case 60 seconds. So this is the amount it's mining. This is how long it takes to complete a single cycle. And yeah, if you're in your ship, you've got your fittings all down here. You click on one, that green bar that goes all the way around. When it finishes going all the way around, that's one complete cycle. So in this case, it'd be 60 seconds for that. And then, of course, it's got a range of 10 kilometers. So you have to be within 10 kilometers of the thing that you're using it on in order to actually be able to activate it with that target selected. But yeah, so basically it's not a great mining laser, but it gives you somewhere to start. And pretty much as soon as you can, you want to upgrade to the Miner 1. Now we'll take a look at the stats on that. It's going to give you 40 cubic meters of ore every 60 seconds. And it's got the same range on it, but it's the same cost, same HP, volume, etc. So it's actually not taking up any more space, and it's giving you more for your time. So it's definitely worth going ahead and upgrading to this pretty much right away. Now there are skill requirements. In this case, it's just mining level 1, which you pretty much should start off with, or if you don't start off with it, it's not a very expensive training book, and it doesn't take long to get the first level. So you can meet the requirements for this particular mining laser very, very quickly. Now, there are all these intermediate named things, and they're usually really, really expensive and don't give you a whole lot of bonus. So I usually just avoid these because the tech level 2 versions are a little bit better. The only time I ever use the named things is when I'm trying to fit something a little bit better onto a ship that's already got a really, really tight fit. And let me show you all of that right now. This is your fitting thing right here. You also have it over here, so if you ever need it over here, that's there. It pulls up your ship and shows all of the available slots you have. For instance, well, I can't do that, but
already something in that location.
Yes, thank you for that. Basically, this ship has 3 high slots, 4 medium power slots and 2 low power slots. Now, it also has 2 rig slots, which I haven't used yet, and I will eventually get to that, but not right this second because I'm saving up for certain things. So anyway, you also have your CPU and your power grid. Now, a ship will have a base level of both of these available to you, and you can increase them by training certain skills. This one in particular is engineering, I believe, and this one is engineering. And this one is going to be electronics. And of course, the more levels of those you have, the more you can get out of each ship for these stats. Now, what I was talking about in particular is like you have a slot open, and you want to put something in it, and you can fit the Tech Level 1 version, but the Tech Level 2 version's a little bit too much. It's taking up too much CPU or too much power grid so that this bar would actually go past here, so you can't fit it. And like there are implants for your character and stuff to help with that, but without doing that, you can instead do the some of the named versions, which will take up a little bit more resources typically than the Tech 1 version, but not as much as the Tech 2 version, and will give you a little bit of an improvement. Now, it is expensive, but if you're kind of trying to maximize what your ship can do, sometimes it's the only way to go. Honestly, though, that is the only time I would use the named modules. Aside from that, I would just go ahead and sell them on the market. They're, like I said, usually pretty expensive on there, so you can get a decent return from them. And you can always use that money to buy a module that's more appropriate to your situation, or just a Tech 2 module, because it'll be better. Now, finally, the other thing that you'll want to know for basic level mining, once you get a couple of ranks in here, are the mining laser upgrades. Now, I've got level 2s in here, but we'll take a look at the level 1s through the market. So you've got all your mining lasers here, and we'll pull up mining upgrades. And this is the one we're talking about in particular, mining laser upgrade 1. We'll pull up the info for it. You see here you need mining upgrades level 1 and mining level 3. So once you get your mining level high enough, you can put these in, and it's going to use up a lot of your CPU to put these in, but it increases the mining yield on your lasers, so it's worth it. In this particular situation, it's a 5% bonus to your yield. And that's across your whole ship. So every laser that you're using is going to get a 5% bonus to its yield. Now, if you remember from the mining laser 1, its base yield is 40 cubic meters. So a 5% bonus to that would be... Alright, hold on. We'll get there. It's 1/20th. Basically be 2. Feel free to double check the math on that because I'm just doing it real quick in my head and that might be wrong, but let's just go with that. Essentially it'd be 2 cubic meters, so instead of 40 every 60 seconds you'd be getting 42. Now if you're using 2 mining lasers, both of them are going to get that bonus, and so it's going to be 42 and 42, so it's essentially 84 every 60 seconds instead of just the normal, I guess in that case would be 80. Now of course that's just your mining laser upgrade level 1, which is the most basic of them. If you go all the way up to mining laser upgrade 2, you're talking about a 9% increase, which is a lot harder to do mathematically in your head, so I'm not even going to try, but it is considerably, it's almost double. So these can be well worth it, especially when you start getting into the mining lasers that have a really, really high base yield, like the strip miners on a mining barge. And like when you start messing with those, 5% or 9% increase is actually pretty significant. So it's well worth taking advantage of. Alright, so that's kind of the basics for the mining equipment. Now we'll take a quick look at ships, so you kind of know where you're going from there. Now, of course, you start off with the very basic level starter frigate, and then you'll move into some more specialized frigates. And we'll just pull up the standards. Now, each race is going to have different things. Now, the Venture is a mining frigate for the Ore Corporation, which is kind of like the mining corporation in the game. They're usually pretty expensive, but hey, it's got a 5% bonus to mining yield per level of your thing. Now, you do have to train specifically in mining frigates for this ship, so sometimes not necessarily worth it unless you're really going to be focusing almost exclusively on mining. Now, the downside to these kind of things is you usually can't fit weapons. Let's see, fitting. Okay, it's got 2 turret hardpoints. Typically, you would use both of those for mining lasers to kind of get the bonus there. Oh, good, and it does have a drone capacity. So, yeah, essentially you'd use your turret slots for 2 mining lasers, and then over here you've got your drone capacity and bandwidth, which it's 10 cubic meters, so it should accommodate 2 small drones, like either mining drone, like Tech 1 or Tech 2 mining drones, or Tech 1 or Tech 2 light combat drones, which I believe are scout drones. And what I would do in this case, since the mining drones are only going to give you so much of a boost, is to actually use combat drones in these slots to kind of defend yourself if there are pirates in the system or anything. And that way you can still get the ship bonus on 2 turrets instead of 1. And it just kind of maximizes that. Now, the other option, if you're wanting something a little bit more generic, and I'm just going to use Caldari's example because I know that race the best. Look through here, you've got several different frigates for different purposes. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know they made that. It's expensive, though. Basically, the Merlin and the Condor are kind of combat vessels. Now, this one's doing small hybrid turrets, and the Condor is more for light missiles and rockets. You've got the Griffin, which is kind of your ECM frigate. And if you're unfamiliar with that term, it's electronic countermeasures. Basically, you can put those on. They're going to be a little bit stronger than they would from any other kind of vessel. And you target a ship, you use those on it, and basically it screws up their targeting system so they can't target you back. And if you're familiar with the mechanics of the game, you can't actually shoot at something that you can't target. There's no from the hip shooting in the game, as it were. Okay, and you've got the Heron, which they've geared specifically towards exploration. So you've got a bonus to your scan probe strength, and then of course a bonus to your salvager and other relic site stuff. You've got the Kestrel, which is your light missile and rocket platform for the frigates, and like we said, the Merlin's your small hybrid turret platform. So that's all that, but the one we want to focus in is actually the Bantam, which is your mining frigate. Now, you'll notice here that it's got... Interesting. Okay. Let's take a look at that. They may have changed this. They did. Okay, they've changed the Bantam to be a logistics ship. The remote shield booster is a module that you put onto a ship, and it actually will provide shield energy to another nearby ship. So what they've done is just turned this into a logistics frigate. Very interesting. Alright, so I'll come back and look at that later. Okay, basically, when I started out, this was your mining frigate, and had a mining bonus and everything on it. So it looks like now, specifically, this ship right here, the Venture, is going to be your mining frigate. And, unfortunately, it's kind of expensive. And the Bantams... well, I guess not. Okay, it's not too bad. The one downside is you do have to train specifically mining frigates to use it versus just regular Caldari frigate or faction-specific frigate skills. But hey, that's how it goes. So anyway, and you'll notice I haven't trained in that at all because I never used this particular ship. And yes, you can use any of the frigates to do mining so long as they have a turret hardpoint, but there's going to be some, in particular this one, that is going to be just so much better at it than every other type of vessel out there. And so, because of the gas cloud harvesting, I might actually train in this at some point and get one of these and gear it specifically for the gas cloud stuff. Because the gas cloud harvesters are something I can't fit on any of the mining barges because they use a different system. Okay, so yeah, that's kind of the ship you'd be shooting for if you want to specialize in mining. And like I said, for the fitting stuff, you want to go mining lasers in both of your turret hardpoint slots, and you want to use the drone bay for light combat drones, which does mean if you want to operate 2 at a time, you are going to have to train your drone skills up to level 2, which really isn't that bad. And honestly, a lot of people overlook drones. They are really, really powerful guys. I was able to take out, well, not take out, but break the tank on a shield tanked pirate vessel using 5 Tech 1 combat drones that I was fielding from a mining barge. Which, if you guys have ever seen like a really well shield tanked vessel, you understand is ridiculous. So, yeah, it's definitely worth training in the drone skills, especially as a miner, because this gives you options for defending yourself that you just wouldn't have otherwise. Like in this case, I'm kind of recommending the combat drones just because I'm assuming in the frigate category you're going to be operating primarily in high security space. And in that case, the thing you're going to run into most often are just pirates, unless you're operating in a 1.0 security rating system, which wouldn't even have any pirates, but those systems are kind of boring and they're not really profitable ore-wise. I generally recommend the 0.7 systems, which is as low as you can go and still be eligible for setting up, or it's the highest security rating you can get, and still be eligible for setting up a player-operated station in the system. So it's a good place to set up corporations and stuff that you want to keep relatively safe. Those kind of corporations can be a little bit more expensive, and that's a totally different topic that we will get to way down the line. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the 0.7s, but technically you can only go all the way down to a 0.5 system, which is going to give you the best ores while still being in a high security system, which doesn't protect you from NPCs necessarily, but it does help with the with the player combat somewhat, because there's a lot more people that will attack you in low sec space because they can, than will actually come after you in high security space. But anyway, yeah, so that's kind of the gearing setup, the basics of ore mining. So what we'll do now is I'll just head out into one of the asteroid fields, and we'll just discuss a couple of the mining basics and such while we're pulling some ore out of these things here. Okay. And so yeah, you remember from the last episode, potentially, I like to go ahead and get things set up early. So I already had my location saved. I'm warping to 0 at that particular location, which is right on top of one of the asteroids. That way I don't have to go really, really slow to get into the system. I pre-select my drones, so as soon as I drop out of warp, I can launch those, which you do by highlighting it, right-clicking, and then going to launch. And of course we'll see if there are any bad guys in the system. It doesn't look like it. So go ahead and launch these guys. We'll do a survey. And we want Pyrexeries, which it doesn't look like there is any. So click here, have these guys return to the drone bay, and we'll go to another system.
Warp drive active.
Yeah, sometimes those are the breaks. I like to mine Pyrexeries pretty much exclusively because I don't have a whole lot of time to play. Like if I had just hours and hours to sit here and mine endlessly, I would pretty much just mine everything that's there and switch the crystals out and whatnot. As it is, I don't have that much time to do it, so I do specialize in Pyrexeries for the this particular system, because that's what's mostly available and that's what's going to be the most valuable. Alright, so let's do a survey scan from out here. See what we can pick up. Oh good, there is Pyrexeries here. We've got viscous and solid. Excellent. First thing I want to do is save... Well, no. We're going to save the location of this large asteroid, which we're going to start approaching. And we're going to lock onto those. And start moving in for them. Alright, and then once we're within 15 kilometers of some of these, we can start mining those. Alright, and so yeah, basically when you're first starting out, the strip miners do have a range of 15 kilometers. A normal mining laser is usually going to be 10 kilometers, so you do have to get a little closer. However, the mining lasers are typically used on faster ships like frigates and cruisers, so it's not quite as painful to move in close to the appropriate rocks to get at them. And as I'm sure I've mentioned before, this is actually a pretty lucrative profession. There's some players who don't really care for the fact that you can make a lot of money just sitting in high sec and mining rocks, and for some players it is a little tedious and boring, so you know, if it's not your cup of tea, that's not a big deal. There are always lots of different things to do in EVE Online, so just kind of find something that suits you well and go after that. But I'm a big fan of the mining. I find it kind of relaxing and I enjoy doing it from time to time, so I've kind of specialized in it, and that's sort of how I make my money, and then I use that money to go do other things whenever I feel the inclination to do those. And of course, I do want to... Right now, I'm training up skills specific to exploration. I'm getting my Caldari frigate thing maxed out here, so I can start training into covert ops to get the correct ships for all of that. And what I'll do then is start scanning down the different ore sites in the system that will pop up from time to time, and those will actually provide higher level resources than what I can normally get in the asteroid belts. In particular, Kernite, which is usually only available in lower security systems and has some more valuable ores and stuff in it. So whenever I have those skills maxed out and I'm ready to go, I can kind of show you the exploration system, and we can actually do some not only mining for those particular sites, but also there's combat sites and actual exploration sites where you kind of like do computer hacking or salvaging or archaeology or any of that. So we'll go through all of that as well when the skills for that are present and ready to go. But yeah, hopefully guys, this has been an informative episode, kind of get you started off with the whole mining thing. Of course, we will talk more about some of the other types of mining in future episodes and go into more specific details on those. And of course, we'll need to talk about reprocessing as well, because that's going to be a key part of the mining process and actually making it a profitable venture. But yeah, so thanks for watching this particular episode, guys. I hope that you have enjoyed it, and if you have, please definitely leave a like, and feel free to comment and ask any questions that you might have, or just make suggestions, or whatever you want to put down there is fine. And of course, if you're not subscribed to my channel, definitely go ahead and subscribe so you can get notices about when new episodes are coming out and what's going on with the channel. So thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you are having a great day, and as always, I will talk at you later.